Many times teachers ask you in an ELA classroom to analyze fiction, to do a literary analysis essay, but we don't really tell you how to approach that. We're going to talk for a few minutes here about how to use a tool called SIFT, and it's one of the assignments that you have embedded in Springboard to analyze the gift of the Magi with. SIFT is simply an acronym and a graphic organizer that will help you to approach 4 different key areas of analyzing literature. So not only is it an acronym here, but it's also a way to give you access to what a literary analysis is. It is not the end all and the be all of that world. It's the beginning point for you. So we're going to talk for a moment here about what the 4 parts of the acronym mean with SIFT. Here's the graphic organizer that you'll see embedded in Springboard. SIFT simply means symbol, imagery, figurative language, and tone or theme. And these are all methods that authors use to tell us stories and to emphasize certain parts of the stories. The first is symbolism. We've talked for a moment about that in class here. Symbolism is a literary tool that authors use. They try to bring an object into play that means something within a culture, and that gives it an extra added layer. Now, some of those are cultural, so they'll only be for within the story that was written, American culture, etc., British culture. All right. Some of those, though, go beyond that, and they are what we call universals. So they're symbols that are used all around the world. They always mean the same thing. This is symbolism used every day in our culture. We know what an 8-sided octagon that is painted red means, right? You guys know what that means here. You have a moment to think about it if you don't. So it's a stop sign, obviously. It means slow down, stop, cars are coming here. So the question is, how did you know what it meant? Did someone actually teach you that? Or is it something that you just picked up from seeing the culture that we're in? So that's an everyday life symbol that we use. In literature, we use symbols to mean things. And it's one of those pieces where your background knowledge will matter here. So anytime that you, for the most part, see a dove show up in a piece of literature, it means that peace is coming. Right? Dove is a symbol for peace, and there are multiple other symbols that you'll need to learn over time. But as you do that, you're going to make reading literature much easier for yourself, because you'll recognize these things in the stories and go, oh, this author's communicating all of this other extra information that I need to know. So for your first one, symbolism in the Magi, this is your first question. Think about the 2 main symbols in the gift of the Magi, and what do they represent in the story? And if you want a little bit of help with that, think about what Jim and Della do with those 2 objects and what that means. Now, there's actually a bonus. There's a deeper symbolism with these. I can go over that in class if you're interested in it. Otherwise, not going to sweat it right now. All right, so take a moment, press pause on this video, and go fill out the first line symbol. What are the main symbols in the story, and what kind of effect did they have on the meaning or the theme of the story here? All right, and that's symbolism. So if you'd like to pause and work on that for a moment and then come back to it, you can do so. All right, we're going to continue on then if you paused or didn't. Imagery is another tool that SIFT uses here. This one is basically the author's painting a very vivid picture in your mind, and it's trying to bring about an emotion, or it's trying to suggest a meaning to it. So inside of the gift of the Magi, there's particular couple places where you use some very descriptive words to describe what's happening or where this is taking place. So on your chart, fill out some type of area where he uses very descriptive, and we've been doing telling details all the way back to the very first story that we did in our sequence here at The Most Dangerous Game. So talk about what kind of pictures does he paint, and in your mind, that is, and then what kind of effect does that have on the story? Right, you can go ahead and pause the video for a moment and work on that area. Next up, figurative language. Figurative language, literal language rather, means exactly what it says in there. If you're saying, I'm going to the restaurant, there's no extra meaning behind that. It just means you're going to the restaurant to get some food, right? But there are certain aspects of figurative language that help you to have a meaning outside of there. So 5 of the big areas of figurative language, if you look at the bottom of your screen here: metaphors, similes, personification, hyperbola, and word-based symbolism. So sometimes the words that we use will have symbolism packed into them. Now, we are probably going to unpack these over the course of this semester, so don't worry if you don't know what all of them means. Figurative language can also be a non-literal language. For example, we used verbal irony with that, where someone doesn't say what they mean to say. Somebody says it's raining cats and dogs, for example. That's a simile or a metaphor that it depends on how you say it, but that means it's pouring rain. It doesn't mean there's literally cats and dogs flying out of the sky. So that's another type of, or an application rather, of figurative language here with metaphor and simile. All right, on your chart here, think about a type of figurative language, something that's not literal, something that Jim and Della or the narrator say, and what kind of effect does it have on the story? You can pause here and fill out this section. All right, welcome back for our last moment here, tone or theme. Tone or theme is one of the standards that you want to look at with a piece of literature. Tone is kind of the attitude that the author is taking towards the story or its characters or its meaning. Sometimes they can make a point and then be totally sarcastic about the way they see it and completely take away from that point. Theme, remember, is a general statement that the author is trying to make about life or the state of the world around them. It's not a topic, it's not a moral statement, and it's not a summary. All right, so think about that one in terms of what you have on Springboard for the gift of the Magi. All right, and so we'll land right here on this one with tone or theme. You've already done some work with theme on this, so if you want to talk about the theme right here, and then what effect does that theme have on the overall story? In other words, did it make you feel something? Did it make you think about something? What kind of effect does it have here? All right, when you're done for this question, you should have all areas filled out for your SIFT graphic organizer. Remember that I'm available to assist you. If you have any questions, you can send a message, whether it be through email, through our Canvas messaging system, or through Microsoft Teams. Thank you so much for paying attention, guys. Please go ahead and work on the question back on Springboard that deals with SIFT.